Hello and welcome to Take 3 with PT. This is a YouTube series where I take 3 minutes to answer a biblical, practical, or theological question. Today's question is, what is a testimony? Now you might know the word testimony from watching commercials late at night and someone is talking about how this diet or pill changed their life. That is in fact a testimony. A testimony is a story of personal change. And the Bible is filled with these testimonies. In fact, it's a giant story of change, how God made a good world, how that good world turned their back on God, and how God, through many efforts, Noah, Abraham, Moses, David, etc., the prophets, and then finally with Jesus, wanted people to change and turn back to Him. So the Bible's filled with stories of change, and that's essentially what a testimony is. And if you want to figure out how do I share my testimony, or what is my personal testimony, I want to give you an example of what that looks like. In Galatians chapter 1 and 2, the Apostle Paul tells his personal testimony, his story of change. And in that story, he talks about how he once was a persecutor, but then he became an apostle of Jesus Christ. Essentially, the testimony boils down to these two phrases: I once was, but I now am. And a lot of people can say that. I once was lost, but now am found. I once was an addict, but now I am free. I once was lonesome, despairing, but now I am in community and I am hopeful. These are the varieties of Christian testimonies. It starts with who you once were and who you are becoming. So what's your testimony? You once were, but you now are. I came to know Jesus when I was a middle schooler. My family had gone to church during my childhood, just mainly for the holidays. So we were, what do they call them? Christians, Christmas and Easter Christians. My family grew up in the suburbs. We were a good moral family with good moral values, but it wasn't until middle school that I came to know who Jesus was and what Jesus meant. And so I once was a good moral kid, but then I became a follower of Jesus with new purpose and new passions in my life. That's my testimony. The other part of a testimony isn't just about you and personal change, but it has to reflect back on Jesus. So again, in Galatians, the Apostle Paul says, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. A testimony isn't just your personal story of change, but it always points back to Jesus who changes us. That's a critical element of testimony. In fact, if you read the book of Acts chapter 1, Jesus says to his apostles, I want you to be my witnesses. That word actually means I want you to be the kind of people who testify, who give testimony to me. You are telling or pointing people to me as the one who changes lives. That's what Jesus does. So your testimony says, I once was, but now I am. Why? Because Jesus changes lives.